What's up, Kate? How are you doing today?
I'm good, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Terrific weekend. Great NGRN event this past week. It was fabulous. And I'm looking forward to killing it this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always great to see our friends in one place. And then we had some of the boys from Phoenix come down. So it was a really good turnout. Enjoyed it
Shout
for
out to them boys, the Rev boys. I loved it. It was great. And they loved it, dude. They all texted me after. They were like, man, you put on a great event. Like, it was awesome. So,
yeah. Those guys are awesome. Super
absolutely.
stoked.
Absolutely. Well, sweet boss. Well, hey, you do the honors. What's going on in the Tucson, Vale, Saurita? Where are you talking today? What's going on in those markets?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna focus on Vail, but we're gonna use some Tucson and Sahuarita metrics
Love it.
as well. So Vail as of March 2023, we're in April now, so we got all of March data. As of March 2023, the month supply in Vail specifically was 2.5. So the absorption rate was 2.5. So to put that into perspective, in Tucson in March of 2023, it was 1.7, and in Sahuarita, it was 2.2. So you can see, especially from Tucson, a drastic increase, specifically in Vail. If we look back a year ago in March of 2022, the month supply was 1.3 in Vail. Again, today it's 2.5. So you're seeing over the year almost double pretty much from last year. So again, for anyone who's watching this the first time, month supply is just how long it takes for a house to get under contract and sell. Okay, so the average home in Vail right now is taking 2.5 months to get under contract and sell. They are much more in a buyer's market than the neighboring Tucson and Sahuarita markets. So just something to consider, if you're in Vail, and something we were, alluding to, Drew, before we started recording is what does this say for the Tucson market, right? Because Sahuarita is well above 2 month supply already. Vail's almost halfway to three. Okay. So what does this kind of allude to or forecast for the Tucson market? And for me, I personally believe that the subsidiary markets of bigger cities tend to move quicker. Okay, so Sahuarita, Vail, Benson, all of the, Marana, Oro Valley, all of these markets around Tucson are going to move quicker, kind of similar to how single family markets move much quicker than commercial markets, right? So office, industrial, multifamily, all of those markets are going to move much slower compared to single family. And I think it's similar to subsidiary markets versus bigger markets. Okay, so like Phoenix and Tucson, right? So all the subsidiary markets outside of that are going to move much quicker. So my thought is, are these numbers now forecasting what the future Tucson market looks like? A much more kind of slower paced buyer's market. And it's so interesting because this weekend I had a client who got their offer accepted on a manufactured home with a garage. So super cool property on 5 acres, and there were five other offers on it. One was cash, and we beat them out. Now that home was on the market for one day,
Wow.
literally one day. So it came on the market late, like Wednesday or Thursday night. We got the offer sent Friday morning. I think it was Thursday morning. And then on Saturday, they had until noon to respond. And in between those 2 days, five offers. Okay. So again, even though we're looking at, these month supply numbers, you gotta take note that's considering new construction. I mean, that is considering every single type of property within that market. That is very, very generic. Okay. So there are still homes that are very desirable, that are priced well, that are still very competitive for some of these buyers. So just take note of that if you guys are in the market, or you have to inform your clients of the market they're heading into. Just take note of that. Hey, vast majority numbers are kind of telling us we're heading more into a buyer's market across the board, but it's still going to be very property specific as far as how you structure your offer and what you can expect, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, the more and more we have these conversations, the more and more I realize that real estate and the stock market aren't all that different. Just the investment that you hold within them. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the idea of the market tends to trend upward, but sometimes we have these explosive growth years. I mean, we saw at the end of 2021 after COVID, where we had this explosive, And people were saying, it's not a good time to buy, not a good time to buy in the stock market, right? And theoretically, everyone right now is saying it's not a good time to buy. Well, we've seen statistics, it's not a good time to buy. That's not necessarily true. There are still deals, they might be harder to find. But again, you're alluding to the fact that these exterior markets might be, these subsidiary markets might be the place to buy right now. And then in the future, maybe Tucson is the place to buy right now. You can always find a good deal. It just might be a little bit harder than the general, just overall consensus market that everything's a great deal. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And definitely in the multifamily space too, there's definitely kind of a lull, right? To where in the multifamily space, it's still a seller's market. I mean, you talk to any broker, the multifamily space is still a seller's market, but there's kind of this lull in where buyers kind of think they're priced right and sellers think they're priced right. Right. So in regards to, again, the single family market's moving much quicker than the multifamily market, and now we're heading into a more consistent buyer's market in the single family space. So like you said, right, Tucson, single family, multifamily, I mean, we may start to see a buyer's market kind of coming around the corner. But then two, something else to consider is that we are heading into these summer months, right, which historically every year is much hotter in real estate than any other time of year. So do buyers really have the upper hand? So again, it's going to be interesting as we start getting to these summer months, what happens, as far as how buyers are positioned. So, but Drew, update us kind of on what you were looking into this weekend.
absolutely, yes. So starting off, S&P 500 was up last week 3.6, so we saw a decent recovery percent. And year
Nice.
to date, it's up 7%. So we're starting to see that flow back upwards, which is nice. Russell 2000 up 2.5%, and year to date up 2.51. And then the Dow was up last week 3.5%, and year to date it's up 1.3%. Now, I have some bearer of bad news because the markets don't like uncertainty. And I feel like right now we are headed into a time of uncertainty that might corrupt these markets again. And so we're going to see this very volatile, fluctuating market throughout the year. I almost guarantee. But the one thing I want to really hit on today is everything that's going on globally and economically, specifically globally within our trading system. So I'm not an expert. I haven't done a whole heck of a lot of research on it myself, but I just wanted to start explaining and at least, showing and what am I looking for here? Opening your eyes to the idea of big global changes that are happening. So Russia and China have been having a lot of relations, just getting things lined up to try to shift the economic trading system from the US dollar to the Chinese yuan. Now, for long term, I don't know what this means, but short term, this seems to mean a lot of devaluing of the dollar, US dollar, as well as just globally losing a lot of our impact and upper hand that we currently have in the United States because of the fact that, right now we kind of run the trade show as everyone has to flip to our currency.
Yeah.
So I think just, keeping your eyes open, reading, getting familiarized, and speaking to professionals, especially myself, once I dig more and more in and more things unfold. I mean, we're still at super early stages and they could sign things all day, but until it actually makes an impact, nothing's going to change. But just making sure you're following up and being weary about it, because there's a lot of, the news right now is sharing a lot of things about things that don't really matter, right? Like they matter short term, but long term it doesn't. And so, just making sure you're keeping your eyes open to that and just positioning yourself well for
Yeah.
these kinds of changes.
And yeah, what would you recommend? Because I've had, numerous conversations with, people much older than me who've seen a lot more life and, have made a ton of money. And, they would recommend, the only thing you really can do, I mean, let's just talk worst of the worst scenario, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
US goes into, I mean, we're already in a recession, but an even worse one, some sort of depression where inflation just goes sky high, the actual dollar value just, craps out, and, everyone is freaking homeless, right? We're in a Great Depression, right? I mean, let's say it got that bad. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, worst comes to worst, you know, if you can be okay with that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you have to survive, right?
Absolutely.
That's every human's instinct. So, I mean, Great Depression, worst of the worst. I mean, everyone's homeless. We're living in camps, right? Which I don't think it's going to get that extreme.
Hmm.
But let's say it does. I mean, you're just going to survive and it'll be fine, right?
Absolutely.
We will have to
Absolutely.
rebuild our economy, rebuild the systems, and it'll be fine. It'll be hard, it'll be rough, but it'll be fine in the end. I don't think it's going to be that bad. So even the worst of the worst, right, we're okay with and we'll come back from. I mean, the best thing you could do that they told me is just hold on to your assets. You know, um, they weren't necessarily fans of stockpiling cash at this time,
Hmm.
which I know some people are really for. But if you can own, assets and you can own your investments, then I mean, that's the best thing you could really do as small time as we are, right?
Absolutely.
We're not some,
Absolutely.
Wells Fargo, McDonald's situation, right? But we're just a small time investor making ends meet. Just own your investments, disperse your money and you'll be good.
Absolutely. And to kind of play off that point a little bit, because I think you're exactly right. Like in the grand scheme of things, just keep your plan in place, right? Like if you have an established plan, keep going because nothing's solidified, nothing has happened yet. I don't want to make any recommendations to say like buy gold and buy this and buy that because nothing has come to that extreme level. And you're right. If something worse doom and gloom possibility happens, cash, gold, all rocks, they don't mean anything.
Right,
What
right.
matters is what you can eat, what you can drink, and where you live. That's it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And
No
so
one
when
cares
you
about money at that point.
exactly, we're gonna be bartering chickens for cows, right? Like I'll give you my chicken for your cow, and that's
Uh,
that's where it will come to at the
right,
absolute worst case, right?
right.
But again, owning your home as much as possible, right? Like holding on to those assets that you have
Yeah,
will be most important because that gives you sort of a place. But just keeping that plan set in place, keep investing, keep doing this, keep doing that, because who
yeah,
knows? And
right.
as things start to become more clear, we can start making recommendations tailored more to what's going on
For
for the
sure.
future.
For
So
sure. No, love it.
sweet, man. Well, dude, we'll end it off. I'll let you end it off here, but we both were able to watch the movie The Founder. And if you haven't seen that movie, you should, because it is definitely amazing. And it just goes to show, just how one little guy can create some massive, massive company and how, you just evaluating your goals because nothing is too big, nothing is too great. But if you want to share the quote that we sort of discussed beforehand about that movie, go ahead, go for it.
Yeah, so the quote is from Earl Nightingale, The
Mm,
Strangest Secret. And the quote is that you become what you think about. And there's a specific scene in the movie where Ray Kroc, who's the founder of McDonald's, he is pretty much a failed salesman, right? And he's just sitting in one of his motel rooms and he has The Strangest Secret playing out loud. And he's just sipping on some whiskey or whatever it is on his bed, just kind of sulking in the power of The Strangest Secret. So actually one of our members, Dalton, actually gave us The Strangest Secret, and I know Drew, you and I have both listened to that. So if you haven't already, we ask that you do two things this week. You watch The Founder and you listen to The Strangest Secret, and it's very powerful to understand the concept that you become what you think about. So
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, The Strangest Secret, listen to it. I mean, you and I listened it for 30 days straight, and every day we took something new away from it, and it actually shifted my mindset
yeah.
pretty significantly. And I'm gonna go back and actually listen to it again starting today. I'm gonna start
Yeah,
doing the 30-day challenge
likewise.
again. So
Likewise.
sweet, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. And for the NGRN meetup, it's the last Friday of this month. I'm not sure the exact date. It is 28th. 28th.
28. Yep.
So we hope to see everybody there. And yeah, until next week, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.